All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is May 8th, 2025. My name is John Kerrigan. I'm the lead instructor here at BYOB Trading. Thank you for being here with us today. Let's take a look at the markets and we'll review a few trades. Okay, first we'll do let's do SPY. Let's pick it up on a clean chart here. 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. For the most part, price gapped up, caught the backside of this downtrend line right here. See that downtrend line right there starts on the 2nd and advances all the way over to today. Caught the backside of the downtrend line and rallied hard off of it. Okay, so that he didn't even get the gap fill. So anytime you see the bears fail to fill the gap, well, that's bullish sentiment. And of course, we ripped all the way up to make a new high for the month of May. And then we consolidated up there for about 3.5 hours before the last minute they decided to give us a pullback. So there's a 10-minute downtrend going into the close. Probably going to have a 2-hour uptrend. Yeah. 2-hour uptrend going into the close. On the daily chart, okay, we got a higher low and a higher high. We're closing over the bullish trap again. Closing over this is the all-time high anchored VWAP, this thin purple line. You can see they're both one and the same. The rally up and the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, we're knocking on the door of the upper third. We got up there for about a half hour. We had a coffee or a beer, and then we lost it up there. We were in the upper third for a brief moment, enough time to have a top shelf drink and then leave. That was it. So there's SPY. All right, we're up over the midpoint. We're still making higher highs and higher lows. Okay. So we made a higher high for the month of May. That was nice. So it's still looking good, still looking strong. Although I still believe, all right, we do the consolidation thing, okay? We go up, we come back, we pulled up higher. So let's just say this arrow here in the middle, right, the green one, doesn't actually stop here at 567.50. All right, let's just say it goes all the way up, okay? Maybe to 570. All right, and then we pull back down. All right, so we're in the midst of this pull down right now. Okay, so we got back to, I think we're back to 560, 565 or 5. Let me see where we're at. We're at 565. So we got underneath the observed resistance. All right, and I expect them to push it down to 556 maybe tomorrow or Monday. All right, tomorrow they're probably going to waffle it because it's a options expiration day. It's a Friday. I think by Monday or Tuesday they have it all the way back down here and create the second part of the W pattern or the M pattern. All right, and I think then from there, 556, and they'll probably push it a little bit lower, maybe 554.50. All right. Okay, whatever they do on the north side, they often do on the south side. And then from there, I think we either go all the way back up through, all right, or we go up and fail to make higher highs and then come back down. Okay, it's one of those two that I believe may happen in the near future. All right, but as far as tomorrow and next week, I think I can visualize us probably either Monday or Tuesday or Friday coming all the way back to 556 to do some more consolidation. In other words, let's just say, okay, we couldn't hold the higher ground up there, all right? It was looking good unless they recover it overnight and we're back up there at 570 tomorrow or 569 tomorrow morning. I really foresee us coming, making a trip back down to 556 to put in the right side of the M pattern over here. All right, so that's what I see so far. All right, I was expecting this today. It didn't happen today at the time I expected it. All right, it kind of went up, and they decided to put in a new monthly high. And I guess now they're maybe committed to it. We'll see what happens. All right, so they had a little shake out there. Maybe they are going higher. We'll see what happens. All right, let's move this out of the way. If we look at it on the 15-minute chart, okay, you can see we came all the way from this 555 area. Actually, from this, see this, we came all the way from this 556. See this? This is our pattern. All right, I'll go through it with you right now. Price moves up, okay, and then we move back. All right, and you saw that, and then we move up. Okay, so now I'm picturing us to come back right here. And usually the second drop's really hard and fast. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just gap it and we're right here tomorrow morning. And then they come in and buy it up all the way back up there. I wouldn't be surprised if they just gap it right here. All right, we'll see what happens. But anyways, there's SPY. This is the consolidation pattern right there. Okay, let's take those off. All right, let's put some lines on there so you can see it. Okay, so here's a line up here. Okay, second line right through here. All right, and then we'll take our blue arrows. Okay, this is what's been completed so far. Okay, and then comes the pink arrows. This is what I expect to happen. And this is what's been completed so far. And I kind of expect them to come all the way back up there because we got a nice bullish uptrend. That's what I'm expecting to happen between tomorrow and Monday and Tuesday. All right, is this move right here. Okay, so we'll see what happens. That's what I'm expecting. We'll see. All right, so there's SPY. All right, let's check out the game plan. And game plan over here. Let's take a look at it on the 5-minute chart. All right, so for the game plan, we had a breakout. Well, of course, we gapped up. We pulled back to the breakout point, 561.80. And then you can see we ripped from there with a 10-minute uptrend coming up over there. So that was a playable event. Okay, so we played the puts in here to pull back, and then we played the calls up here. All right, and that's it. What did we like? We like 1 DTE and 8 DTE calls. We like them $5 to $15 out of the money. What do we also like? 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, and we also like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. Okay, so if we're on a 10-minute chart, you can see here we have a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. Well, actually, here we have a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. This one just hangs out right at VWAP right there. This puts all the way back down to here. Okay, so 10-minute uptrend over VWAP, and then we got stuck right through here. This was our target anyways, was the overnight high. So it was easy. It was an easy game to look at, because if we look at it with the pre-market on, okay, you can see that was our overnight high. All right, and I said if we got up here and consolidated, I'd be interested in buying calls to go back to go higher, but I need to see it consolidate. They did consolidate, but they lost it and they started their trip lower. I actually thought they'd come up and then come all the way back down earlier. They didn't. They went up. They consolidated up here for too long. All right, and then they decided to start the meltdown right there. So that was this morning's price action. So we had a little 10-minute downtrend right here, or 3-minute downtrend right here, coming into almost gap fill. Okay, and that's your clue right there. failing to fill the gap. It's a bullish gap and the bears failed to fill it. That means bulls have control. And then you had a 10-minute rip, 10-minute uptrend coming all the way back up to the overnight high up here. All right, and it said if we got up on top of that, this 567.50 area, I'd be interested in buying more calls to go higher. But they never came up with a breakout. They had a failed breakout here. It sucked everybody in, and then they melted it back. And then they tried to break out again, and they failed. And they tried to break out again. They failed 3 times or 3 strikes, you're out. And then, of course, they had the meltdown right there. They needed to hold this area. They were supposed to pull back to this area first thing and then rally up out of there, but they never did. Instead, they tried to do the breakout and failed it. All right, so there's SPY. So we traded. What did we trade? We'll take a look at this. Okay. We traded some puts in the morning, 560 puts, 0 DTE. Closed those out. Okay. Had some other puts that I took a loss on because I doubled down. And I just wanted to get out of part of that loss right there. All right. And then I had traded some calls for the uptrend. Made 1642 on the calls, 2701 on those calls. And that's it. For a gain for the day is 5,296 for the day, based on adding and subtracting the losses and the gains. So that's what we traded for today. All right, let's go take a look at QQQ and see what they got for us. All right, it's probably going to be very close to the same. Okay, we'll look at it over here on that one. All right, QQQ on the daily chart. All right, so here's QQQ. Higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. Okay, over the uptrend line, over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Kind of knocking on the door of the upper third up there, just like SPY. All right. This was a relief rally high right there. Not sure if they got over that relief rally high. The high there was 493.62. The high there was 493.16. The high here was 492.70. So not quite. Not quite. They haven't breached this high up here. Okay. That was the original relief rally high. All right, so there's QQQ. Okay, this is in an uptrend because it made higher lows and higher highs. Okay, so it's in an uptrend. All right, it's not in the upper third. It's not in the lower third. So it's just neutral through here. That's QQQ. On the 2-day chart, they're still in a downtrend. 3-day, still in a downtrend. Weekly chart, still in a downtrend. They got to take out this high on all 3 of those. Monthly chart is still in an uptrend. Okay, it goes for the same for SPY. All right, let's take a look at FNGA. Look at it on the daily chart. And for daily candle, we got, wow, that's some tight range right through there. All right, so the high, 435.99. The high, 436.60. So higher low, higher high. Closing over a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. Okay, this is the all-time high anchored VWAP. We're underneath it. We're not in the lower third. We're not in the upper third. So we're neutral. All right, we're making higher lows and higher highs. So we're in an uptrend. Okay, FNGA needs to get up over this and over this. That peak, that's the relief rally high, and that is the all-time high anchored VWAP. Needs to get up over both of those. IWM. Higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. Okay, no longer in the lower third, no longer in the no way is it in the upper third. So it's neutral. It's got that weak uptrend because they had a very light, very shallow pullback right here and then made a higher high. So it's got a very weak uptrend. IWM, again, still in an uptrend, but neutral. Not in the lower third, not in the upper third. And they just crossed the threshold of neutral land probably about 5 days ago, earlier this week. So there's IWMs. Take a look at Diamond Dow. Diamond Dow, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap. Everybody closed over a bullish trap. That's what it looks like. Over the hooking 17. See the red dots? And they hook into the green dots. All right. So 17 EMA. Underneath this all-time high anchored VWAP, Diamond Dow. Okay. Up over the midpoint. Not in the lower third, not in the upper third. There's a high. They made a higher high. So higher low, higher high. They're in an uptrend. They're just in neutral land right through here. Okay. Probably take them another week or so before they start printing another higher high. We'll see what happens. All right. So there's Diamond Dow on the daily chart. We can look at this on the 2-day. See what we got for a 2-day. And the 2-day is still in a downtrend. Okay. We'd have to take out looking to see if any of those came up through the 17. And none of them seem to have come up through the 17. Okay, so 2-day still in a downtrend. 3-day still in a downtrend. Weekly still in a downtrend. Okay, got to come all the way up here to take out this high to negate the downtrend. On the monthly chart, they're still in an uptrend, just like SPY and QQQ. Let's take a look at our technicals. Well, T2122, you can see we spent a good part of the day in the overbought zone. All right, so maybe pulling back to 556, maybe coming sooner than we think. All right, so there's T2122. Okay, T2123, price action. We move up and we hold higher ground again. All right, no complaints there. And we actually start filling some of this gap. All right, that's good news. See that bearish gap, which the bulls are actually starting to fill some of that bearish gap. Price action here, we got a bullish gap in the morning, and notice the bears failed to fill it. We rally up and hold the higher highs up here. See how we hold the higher ground up over the midpoint? We're up over the 200 SMA. Okay, everything bullish on the smaller time frame. On the next time frame up, this is the 3-bar. 3 more green candle bars. We're up over the midpoint. That's bullish. Still underneath the falling 200, so that's not bullish. Haven't made a higher high. The high to beat is over here. We haven't done it. On the smaller time frame, we are doing it, but on the 3-bar chart, we haven't got it done yet. So price action needs to come all the way up over this fading 200. I think they come up there and probably fill gap over here and probably butterfly kiss this, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Be nice if they can get on top of it, but I think they're coming up there for it. Okay, it's looking closer and closer. They're almost getting magnetically drawn to each other at this time. So there's T2123. See how things go. Things are looking good. Starting to fill this gap. Still got another bearish gap over here that has to be filled. Okay, big bearish gap right there. Let's look at FNGA, FNGB. Okay, so green from the beginning of the day almost to the end, and they looks like they want to take an early weekend, so it started a four martini weekend to start their weekend early. All right, other than that, nice hold up here. Notice the bullish gap has not been filled. They're holding the higher ground. They're still over the 200 SMA, and they're over this high anchored VWAP. That's not the all-time high. We're still underneath it. So FNGA still looking good on the smaller time frame. Let's take a look at a few sectors. Let's head back over here, and let's look at SMH. SMH, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. Okay, SMH tackling the midpoint here. Okay, they're over downtrend line 1, but they're under downtrend line 2. That's SMH. All right, I still got to do XLE. All right, we'll do all these first. All right, so not in the lower third, not in the upper third, so neutral, and in an uptrend. SMH is looking good. Okay, big brother to the SMH, XLK. Okay, a little meaner, a little leaner, a little stronger. All right, Notice SMH was in number 2, XLK in number 3. All right, quadrant 3. Uptrend, higher low, higher high. Okay, so that's an uptrend. Up over all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, not in the upper third, not in the lower third, so still neutral. Definitely knocking on the door of the upper third up there. It's getting close. Pretty darn close up there. XLK, it's getting closer. Still under the downtrend line, so this is bullish. Moving up and holding the higher ground is bullish. Let's take a look at XLF. Okay, XLF, higher low, higher high, up in quadrant 4, that's bullish. Up over the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's bullish. Closing over the trap, over the hooking 17. All right, making higher lows and higher highs. XLF, bullish. It's looking good. IYT. All right, IYT, higher low, higher high, closing over the trap, over the 17. Okay, no longer in the lower third, so that's neutral. All right, and in an uptrend. It's one of those weak uptrends, just like IWM. It's got like that one-day pullback right back here. All right, so made a higher low, if you want to call that a low, and then made the higher high. So there's IYT on the daily chart. In an uptrend, a weak uptrend, all right, and neutral right through there. Let's take a look at XLE. All right, XLE trying to break out of the lower third. Still can't do it. Higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish cross, but still underneath. See the red dot, the 17 EMA. Still caught underneath this 12-month high anchored VWAP. Still caught underneath. Downtrend line 1, downtrend line 2, and still in the lower third. Still has a downtrend. If they take out this high right here, they could have an uptrend. Okay, they didn't do it today. Maybe they do it Friday. Maybe they do it next week. XLE. Okay, on the daily chart, still in a downtrend. Okay, but moving up and held the higher ground up here. All right, maybe they can break through and make a higher high. Maybe Friday, Monday, Tuesday. We'll see. XLE looking close, looking like they're ready to do it. See how they held the higher ground here? All right, looking like they're ready. Let's take a look at USO. All right, USO, higher low, higher high, closing over a bearish trap, but under the 17. Still in quadrant 1, it's bearish. Still in a downtrend. Again, here's a high, there's a lower high. All right, there's a low, there's a lower low. So no higher highs yet. So still in a downtrend, still bearish down here in the lower third. Let's take a look at UNG. UNG, see here's a low. They made a lower low. They're in a downtrend. They're currently in a pullback in a downtrend. All right. In order to negate the downtrend, they got to take out this high right here that popped over the 17. Okay. Price action currently up over 12-month high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line. Currently at the midpoint. Still underneath this downtrend line right there. See that diagonal gold line right there. All right, they're holding the higher ground up here. It's possible they could get a breakout and challenge the downtrend line either tomorrow, maybe Monday or Tuesday. We'll see if they don't give it up, all right? But they're still in a downtrend, all right? And they're not bearish because they weren't not in the lower third anymore, okay? So they're in the neutral area, not in the upper third, not in the lower third. So that's UNG. All right, let's take a look at GLD. All right, GLD, today's price action, lower high, lower low, closing underneath the bullish trap over the rising 17. Up here in quadrant 4, okay, that's quadrant 4 way up here. So that's bullish, still making higher highs and higher lows. So still in an uptrend, still making higher highs and higher lows, and still in the upper third, so that's bullish. SLV. All right, SLV today is looking like an inside day. Okay, so it's a lower high and a higher low, closing underneath a bearish trap underneath the 17, but over this 12-year high. Also doubles as a 6-month high anchored VWAP right here. Okay, still in a downtrend. In order to break that and negate the downtrend, they have to come all the way up here and take out that high. But since they created this lower high, all right, and created a higher low, all they got to do is take out this high right here to negate the downtrend status. It's just a label, and convert the uptrend. All right. Right now, let's look at it. They're in a downtrend, but all in all, they're moving up and holding the higher ground up here. So that's bullish. They're still in the upper third, so that makes them bullish up there. All right. They just got to hold on to that upper third. Be nice to see them break this downtrend line. We'll see what happens. All right, I take questions in the room, and if not, I'm going to wrap it up for the day. I'll see everybody tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning. Waiting for the last minute. Head fake. Yes, thanks, Robert. Want to look at Philip Morris, see what that's doing. Philip Morris having a pullback day. Who's the other one there? Philip Morris. Who's the other tobacco guy? Mo having a pullback day. If I remember right, I think we discussed it, that we were up near resistance. It's probably... Yeah, I don't have it on my chart. All right. Roger, can we connect and close and discuss the rubber band? Hey, let's do it right now, Roger. All right, we're going to do it right now, and we'll connect after the close. All right, so rubber band candle. Okay, let's talk about rubber band candles. Okay, our main point of interest, okay, is always VWAP and anchored VWAP. Okay, because for us, VWAP represents, go to the 10-minute chart. Let's just pick up something cleaner. Okay, so for us, VWAP represents what price is selling for, okay? And when we see price candles up here, this is what it should be selling for. This is the average price that shares of SPY sold for today. That's the average price. So whenever we see price action up over that, that means what to us? That means that investors are willing to pay more than what it should be, okay? Which inspires us to buy alongside them. And whenever we see them price underneath it, all right, that means they think it should be less than what it should be, which inspires us to sell right alongside them. So we like to follow them in what in their beliefs. Okay, so you can see price is stuck to VWAP here, all right, and yet it rips away up here. Okay, see the space in between. So we come up with a strategy, and it's not really a strategy, it's more of a requirement, okay, because we don't like to get duped and juked around. And it's the rubber band candle that we need to see them break. Sometimes it could be support or resistance. Sometimes it could be a diagonal line. In other words, a trend line. All right, so if they break it, if they break trend by breaking the rubber band candle, okay, we consider the trend to be broken. Let's say, for instance, we had a trend here recently that started on the 2nd, and you can see it shot down through there, okay? Okay, so price came up and couldn't break through. Price spiked it, but couldn't break through. Now we gapped up to it. Now we want to know if we're coming back down to it. You can see price spikes and buyers step in. All right, so we're looking for the rubber band candle represents how much we want to see. We're going to allow it to exceed this VWAP line before we have to take action. So a lot of times I place my stops 40 cents above the rubber band candle if I have a short or a put position, 40 cents above the rubber band candle that exceeded. All right. So we use this would be a spike candle. It's hard to see on this. I don't have very good examples, Roger, on this. Maybe I could pick up your chart later on and we could discuss it. There's probably some there. But anyways, here's the biggest spike candle. All right there for VWAP. If this happened earlier in the day. And I'm going to draw in another candle. So it's the next candle that exceeds the spike candle. Okay, it's the next candle that exceeds it. So the one that comes down here, okay, that's going to be our rubber band candle. Okay, this one right here. Okay, now because this one's still attached. So if we break below the bottom of this candle right here, okay, that means for me, I'm ready to play this short. That means they're breaking away to the downside. Okay, he's going to share his chart. So I'm going to drag this up. All right. Do you have VWAP on there? He does. And VWAP is what color, Roger? Yeah, the breakaway candle. It's the dark black line is VWAP. Okay, so right here. Okay, so that's spike. There's, yeah, you see right here, this free floating candle past the big spike candle, that is the rubber band candle. And see how price recalled it back to VWAP. Okay? And then you have price coming back down. It's still in a downtrend, that's why. Now, this big one right here, yep, with the big wick on the top, that's the rubber band candle. Okay? Now you're dealing with, let's see, 2 o'clock, that's 4 p.m. Is that right? What time frame are you on? I mean, what, are you on Eastern time or? Yeah, both the green arrow, that's a rubber band candle, and the red arrow. It's the free floating candle past the big spike candle. That was 8 p.m. Okay. All right, so that was both of those. The red one is a rubber band candle, and the green one is a rubber band candle. If you break that, either the red one or the green one to the upside, okay, because you see they're both north of VWAP, okay, I would want to be bullish on those if they break one of those. All right? So if they broke that big one right there, I'd want to be bullish. Because they're up over VWAP. As long as they're up over VWAP. Okay, yep, those both are rubber band candles. Yeah, you could get long if you broke over one of those. All right? But you can see you finally did break over one right here. And then here came the second one, which created almost an impossible situation for you to get in on that because it didn't go anywhere after that. It just stayed underneath it. The spike candle, yeah, the first one was negated because you came back down through. And you made a rubber band, and you broke the rubber band candle on the southern direction. All right, so the first one's negated because you broke through and you made a move to the south that was broke the rubber band candle there, and then you start this one, and you never got up over that one to make an entry, and you do include the wicks. Okay, you do include the wicks. And thank you for reminding me because I forgot. told him I would explain it in the video, in the evening video, and I completely forgot. Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks, Roger. All right. All right, if you still want to connect, all right, hit me up on Teams and we'll connect. If you still want to connect. If not, we'll just call it a day. And I'll see you guys all tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning, all right? And we'll see where price goes if we begin our consolidation process. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for hanging out with us today. Hope you all made some money. I see some people did. I saw some postings. Way to go, Jim. Did it again. Love it. Thanks, Raleigh. Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Roger. Thanks, Brad. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody have a wonderful evening. Thank you.